Hey guys, I haven't got any updates on the van this week for you. That doesn't mean to say that I haven't done anything on it. It's just the things I have been doing aren't finished yet, so I can't show you them yet. I'm on a few of the groups on social media, and what I've noticed a few people saying is they're having trouble lining their rear doors up. What seems to be a common thing with not just the Trafics and Vivaros is that doors tend to go out of line, be it the rear ones or the front ones. I know transporters and transits, the front doors drop on them, and what seems to be with the Vivaros and Trafics is these two doors seem to go astray. So what I thought I'd do is cover all the bases on all the different scenarios on how to correct whatever problem you may have with your rear doors on these vans. So what you tend to find is this gap in the middle tends to grow, and then these gaps on the side tend to close up, and they start to rub on the rear lights and the bumper and stuff. And the reason for that is that Renault, or Vauxhall, I don't know who actually made the van, didn't make this side of the door strong enough. So what tends to happen is there's some spot welds along here around the hinge area, and that area that the hinge bolts onto starts to deform, and the hinge starts going into the door that way, so the door starts compressing around that part of the hinge. So because of that, the door ends up going that way, which then makes it hit the lights and the corner of the bumper and causes the gap between the other door by here. So if they had reinforced this area where the hinge bolts onto, it wouldn't do it. So you can either follow my method on how to do this, or you can go out and buy brand spanking new doors and have them painted, and that would fix your problem for the meantime, because then eventually they do the same thing. So I'm going to talk you through step by step on what to do for each kind of scenario on the rear doors. So you'll have to look at your rear doors and determine which correction remedy is suitable for you, and go from there. I will enforce that it is very much trial and error. You have to do a little bit, try and shut them, and then if it hasn't done it enough, then you have to do it again, do it a little bit more, and keep going until you've got it as near as damn it as you want. Now my doors ain't perfect at the moment, but they're a hell of a lot better than what they were when I got the van. So I still need to do a little bit of tweaking on there. This gap by here, if you've got it so that you can, this door is more proud than this door, and it's the same all the way down, then what you have to do is you have to adjust this one. But first you want to remove this receiver, because it'll hinder any adjustments you want to make. It's a T30 star drive, just 2 bolts. And this is a T40. You're slacking them off, and what you would do then is just tap it in.
Just tap it in. Just tap it in. Give it a little tappy.
Close the door. See if your doors are now level. And then if they are, you just need to put that receiver back on. But if your door is more proud there, but it is level all the way down, the further it gets to the bottom, it starts to get level, then that means your door is twisted. what you would have to do then, there is 3 bolts on each hinge. Now, if your door is level at the bottom, I would leave the very bottom bolt tight and then just slacken all the ones off above it. So they're 13mm. You either do it with a ratchet and socket or a spanner. Slacken them all off and then twist the door so that it moves, and you'll see that it'll move because you'll get gaps around the bolt where there's no paint, because obviously the van is painted with the doors on, and you'll reveal little bits where there isn't paint on there around the bolt. That will generally take a little bit of trial and error. So what I would do is, rather than, I think I've got it in the right place, tighten them all up, just tighten the very top one up, try and shut it and see how it looks. In this scenario, I would probably recommend removing this. Get it so that they're lined up, so that you're holding it shut. Once you think you've got it spot on, tighten all the bolts up on the door, and then you can work out putting this back on and getting that in line so that it shuts. In doing so, then your door will be level top to bottom. Another one involving the bolts on the doors would be if your either door is hitting the bumper as it closes. The best way to do it would be to get a jack and however many blocks of wood so that it's just about touching the bottom of the door. Then slacken all 6 bolts off so that then the weight of the door is on the jack. Jack it up so that then you see the bolts move and that the door's going upwards. So then you would see primer appear at all the bottoms of the bolts, and raise it up to how much you think you should do. Then what I would do is just tighten one up on the top and one on the bottom. Try it, obviously again with this thing removed, because you move that door up, it ain't gonna line up with that. So take that out of the equation for now, and then see if the door hits the bumper. If it doesn't, all good. But what you might find is you might have to go back to the previous step that I said, because the door might have done that when you've jacked it up. So not only do you have to get it the right height, you have to get it the right angle as well. So you have to do a bit of playing about there. Now, they're the easy ones. So for the next ones, it requires more work and definitely a lot more trial and error. And what you'll find is that as you're going along, or as you get past a certain point, you might then have to incorporate the steps that I've already covered prior to this as well. So the next scenarios are to correct the tightened up gaps here and the extended gap in the middle. So first step is just remove these 2 things by here, these 2 receivers and one at the top. Now what I tend to do is take that one off, put it to the left, take that one off, put it to the right, and then that one at the top, just put it up there somewhere so that you don't mix them up. Now they're all a T30 star drive, so you need to take them off, because any adjustments you make to the door is currently lined up to them. So if you adjust the door, then the door won't shut because it'll hit them. So get them out of the way so that you can adjust the door, and then you can put them back on later. So for the next step, you will have to take the bumper off, and the bumper comes off via a bolt by there. It's a star drive, I believe it's a T30. There's another one there in the middle and another one there. There are then some spring-loaded clips underneath the bumper. The bumper clips into the rear impact bar. You just have to push them and then the bumper should come off then. After that, you will then have to remove both corner bumpers, both rear lights and both top pieces. It'd be lights first. They come off via this 1, 2, 3 T30s again, and then the light then pushes out that way. So the light then comes out this way, away from the side of the vehicle, and then you have to disconnect the plug. That's first. Then you would do the corner bumpers. Again, there's some T30s down inside the door shut there. And there's one by there, and then there's 2 screws down in the wheel arch, and they're either T25 or T20, I'm not quite sure. And then the top one, by taking the light out, you will reveal a bolt by there. I think that's a T30. And then there's a popper up on the top corner which will pop off, and one's inside there, inside the door shut as well. Then that one comes off. So do that for both sides, and then you've got all the access to the hinges. After that, next step you will have to do is get 2 trestles or get some towels on the floor ready, and you'll have to take the doors off. Like I said, 6 bolts either side, but first you have to take the check straps off. So 2 10mm bolts in by there, and you'll probably have to take the door card off on the passenger side one if yours is a right hand drive model, because there's electrics going in there, so you have to disconnect the electrics and feed the cable out of it. Then you can take that door off, whether you put it on a trestle or lay it on the bottom edge of it on a towel. Same again for this one, but you haven't got any electrics on this one, so 6 bolts and 2 10mm for the check strap. Whip that one away. And then what you can do then is, what I would do is just work on one hinge at a time. If you start on the top right one, take that off. I believe it is 3 bolts, and I think they're 13mm as well. Now if I show you on this spare hinge that I have, it's either driver's side top or bottom, I'm not quite sure. That's the mounts that attach to the vehicle. And then what you want to do is, if I mark it out with a red pen, is if you see there where the red pen is, you want to grind that away there. Same again on the bottom one, and same on the inside one. Now the inside one is where you've got the most meat that you can then take away, but these top and bottom ones is you're limited by how much you can take away. So what you would do is have something like a die grinder with one of them bits on it, kind of like a dremel, and then dremel them away. Now you have to do that for all 4 hinges. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12 holes you have to make bigger. So obviously, as I said, this is the driver side hinges. I haven't really got to tell you that if this was a passenger side one, then you wouldn't be grinding that area out, because it would be that way round. So you'd grind that area out like that. And then after that, what you would do is bolt it back on, and well, I'd probably bolt it on as far towards the center of the van as possible. Do that, just do one door at a time. This is where the trial and error comes in. You have to put the door back on and then shut it. Obviously it won't actually shut, you'll have to hold it in place because you won't have any of the receivers on. And then put a light back on. And then if you think there's a nice enough gap in between the light, then you've done it enough. If it isn't, then you have to take it all back off again and grind a bit more off and try again. But like I've said in previous scenarios, then you might have to refer back to some previous steps, because you might not have the door at the right height, or it might have twisted like that, so you have to check all that out. But what you would do then is you would do both doors by then, testing it with the lights, and then when you're happy, put all the corner bumpers back on and put the center bumper back on, and do your final tweaks then. So once you got both doors back on and you're happy and you got all the plastics back on, you can then make sure you got all the bolts back in and they're all tightened up, and you've done all your final tweaks. Once you've done all that and you're happy, you can then put the top receiver back on, and you can put the bottom receiver back on. Put them on but keep them slack. Shut the door firmly onto them so that they've caught on both, and then that should then give you the position of where they need to be, and you can just tighten them up with the door closed. Like with all these steps, you might have to play about with them a little bit more once you've done the driver's side door as well, to get them both to pull inwards more, but you'll only figure that out once you do the other door as well. And then to do the driver's side door, have the passenger side door open and then shut it, and because there's only one receiver on this, you'll have to hold it closed with the weight of your body, and then with the bolts slack, the door should then fit snugly up against it, and then you can tighten the 2 bolts up. And then once you've done that, you can then shut your passenger door, and then you can bolt this one on. You can eyeball it from there to see if you've got it roughly the right height, then shut it, and then refer to like one of the first steps I said and see if you've got it nice and flush there and nice and flush along there. If it's sticking out, then obviously slacken it off and tap it in.
Just tap it in
until you've got them flush with each other. Now if you're thinking you've taken as much metal as you possibly can away from the holes on the hinges, and you've lined everything up and you're still not happy with the gaps, you can't pull the doors inwards anymore, there is one final trick that you can do to just give you a few more mils, and that is in between the hinge and the door you can fit a washer in between each bolt and the door, and obviously that will then push the door this way and that way the width of the washer. I wouldn't recommend putting more than one on there because obviously you're pulling the door further along the length of the bolts then, but one is fine, and that will give you an extra little bit if you need it. So if you followed all of those steps, you should then be able to regain your gaps along each side here and close up the gap in the center and not have it hit your rear bumper, and get them nice and level with each other along there. Don't get me wrong, if you're suffering from all the problems, especially the last ones where the gaps along the side here, it's a pig of a job, but you don't need many tools, and as long as you're patient, you should be able to do it. That's my advice on how to get your rear doors looking like they should from factory. One final thing, don't forget it's a van, and I don't think they were perfect from the factory anyway, so don't worry if you haven't got them absolutely bang on like it would be with a car, because they just ain't built that way. So that's it for now. A few awesome videos coming up with some new products, and by then the pods should be available as well, but there's some new info on them as well. Keep an eye out for the videos on them, and also keep an eye on the Instagram because I'll post it on there too. Don't forget, if I've helped you out in any way, consider buying me a coffee on the link there. Thank you very much for watching. Click on the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. I had one question this week on how I thought the van would perform on some light off-road use with the lift kit and the tyres I got fitted. Well, I haven't tested it yet, but going by other people I've seen do camp van conversions and just normal vans on YouTube, plenty of them have fitted like the BF Goodrich tyres and stuff. The chap from Urban Arc Overland, he fitted some BFGs to his two-wheel drive transporter, and he took it round the quarry, and well, I think he got everywhere where he wanted to go. Alex from Mispronounced Adventures, he's on his third trip to Norway and Sweden now, and his is a two-wheel drive transit. So although I haven't got BF Goodrich's on this, I've got the Cooper tyres. I haven't heard a bad word about them, so yeah, I think it should do what you need of it, I suppose. They also asked, has anyone done a four-wheel drive conversion on a Trafic? To my knowledge, only one person has done it, and I believe it's on YouTube, but it is like an extreme four-wheel drive conversion. It's like a rock crawler van, which kind of made it obsolete of being a camper van, because it had like 35-inch tires on it, so heavily modified, very costly, and yeah, I wouldn't see the point of doing it, to be honest. All-terrain tires and a lift kit, I think you should do fine. And the final question I had was, are the springs for the long wheelbase harder or longer? I'm not quite sure what they were referring to by there, whether that was just a general question on long wheelbase Renault Trafics, or if you're referring to the lift kit that I fitted. If it's just a general question about Renault Trafic vans, I haven't got a clue. I can't see why they would be any longer or harder than a short wheelbase, because it's only about a foot longer van. I could be wrong. As for the lift kit, well, I didn't fit springs to it. It was just spacers, so no springs involved. in the lifting of the van. So I hope that clears up that question. That's it for questions this week. If you've got any more questions, drop them in the comments and I'll answer them at the end of the next video.